Welcome to the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. This is the source for all things high adventure for scouts, scouters, and anyone else interested in promoting high adventure trips for our youth. You can find all kinds of great high adventure options for your scouts at highadventurescouting.com. We are constantly updating the list of cool trips, and we want your input on your best trip. Welcome, high adventure enthusiasts. We're excited as always to highlight a high adventure base on this edition of the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. Today we're joined again by Scott Thiessen, Director for Zink High Adventure Base, or as we know it, ZBASE. Now, ZBASE is located in Oklahoma and is part of the Indian Nations Council in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Scott, thanks for joining us again on the High Adventure Scouting Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I always love hearing what's going on at ZBASE. So this is actually our third podcast, and I feel like I know more about your high adventure base than many others. As you know, my troop sent a trek to ZBASE this summer, and they had a blast. And I have not heard all the stories yet, but since we've been busy this summer, but I look forward to hearing about their experience.
Yeah, it was really fun to have them. I think we've had people from Houston and Arkansas, but nobody. The first trek we had from Illinois, so it was fun to do.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's within a day's drive for us where we're at, so it worked out very well, and they didn't have to stay anywhere on the way if they didn't want to. So, now for those of you who are listening, who wanted the total overview of ZBASE, the episode from a couple years ago is a great place to start. In this episode, I kind of wanted to have an update of things going on into 2022. And from our conversations, it sounds like spots are already filling up for your third full season.
Yeah. When we did this 3 years ago, obviously the pandemic hit. And, one of the reasons why you started what you're doing with all this was we actually benefited from that because we ran programs during COVID, and we were very successful in that. And we had a lot of people come because of Philmont and other camps closed down for the summer, and we actually benefited from that. This summer was a little bit opposite. We still had a great time, but we kind of saw the other end of the pandemic where people were not unsure to make those commitments. But now we're coming out of all that. We're already starting to fill up. We haven't really officially advertised that we're open too much, and we're already starting to get spots filled up for next summer. So we're really excited about that. That means the word's starting to spread, and what we're doing is getting out there. And I think you hit it on the head. Your troop came down. We loved having them. But in a day's drive, it's only like a 6-hour drive, and they got to go do a high adventure and only $550 a person, and they got to come down in a day's drive, and that was I think really nice for them, and it was really great for us to have people from different states to come and see what we're doing here.
Yeah, they said their first day was supposed to be a pretty good hike, but it basically rained a lot and washed out their first day of hiking, which I'm not sure some of the boys really were really upset about it, but our staff,
we were able to accommodate them pretty well, and that's what we always tell our crews. And something really nice about ZBASE, there's always options. You're not really, we always try to give our crews every option available, and then they let the crew really decide how to get places and what time to leave, and even their meal selections. So we always tell them we always have options. So there's different ways to go about it. At the end, they got to do everything we wanted to do. But this summer, when it rained a lot. It didn't rain every day, but when it rained, it rained. It rained a lot when it did. So that's part of the adventure too, right? It's just some of those experiences what you get. It's what you remember sometimes too.
Exactly. And before we went on, we talked about I took another part of our group that we went to Philmont finally, and it did rain quite a bit there, as it always does. So that's just part of the experience, and you say, yeah, it rained, and we got through it, and no big deal. So
right. Nobody
you
melted,
guys,
that's for sure.
Exactly. Now, are you guys staying on the kind of the June time frame, or have you expanded that at all for next summer?
Well, this year we did go into the first part of July, and
Awesome.
we want to do that. We want to expand. It's really about filling up our spots in June. If we can continue like we're doing now, we will probably add a few weeks into July, just because we're starting to fill up our tricks in June. So that's kind of we're kind of building from the front end and all the way out, so we don't so we make sure we have everything full and we have the staff that we need. But we did go into the first part of July. This year, we actually had a couple crews come on the 4th of July, and we ran program all the way through there. So
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I was in the mountains of New Mexico on July 4th, so hopefully this year I'll be able to see some fireworks. So yeah.
yeah,
Now, is there any major changes coming up this year for ZBase as far as program or options or anything like that from the couple years past?
no, this year we finally got through all of our construction, so we were fully open all of our areas. So we are just going through and tweaking our tricks a little bit, and just keep learning and getting the feedback from our crews. Everybody always has a great time, but there's always something we can, with good feedback, you can improve upon. So we're just changing that kind of stuff, and just trying to improve upon that. Really, the biggest thing we're trying to do is in our off season. Our what we consider the off season is just expanding some of our programming into like a spring break and like fall treks and stuff like that. So 2022 will probably see an expansion of non-summer high adventure stuff that we got going on. So that's what we're kind of focused in on, and then just building our summer program up to where it's gonna go. Again, it's a newer program, and getting the word out through podcasts like this, and then word of mouth is really seems to be like what we're where our growth is coming from. Just people coming, having a great time, and then going back and telling everybody else what they experienced. So,
Well, I have not been out there, but from what I've been told, and we've been talking for 2 or 3 years about things, and our group went out this year, and there was nothing that they didn't like about it, and there were some of the guys that were a little apprehensive about going up on the high course, and didn't really like high going up really high, and they all had a blast. It just why don't you just try it, do it, and the ones that had a problem with it, and when they got done, they didn't. So that that was a neat thing. So
yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the point of all high adventure, and then what we try to do at ZBase is, overcoming those obstacles, and just doing it in a unique way. But yeah, getting up there high and experiencing the rain and all that stuff, just fighting through those obstacles and learning more about yourself as you go along. But just doing it in a way where you have a really good time doing it. It's really kind of our goal. So
exactly. Now, one question I had, I know many people won't be quite as close as where I am in the St. Louis, Missouri area to your location. And I know I've asked this before, but what kind of accommodations can groups that come out there? Are there places that they can stay the night before, campgrounds, council properties, things of that nature that might make it a little bit easier for them to kind of come in day before and then hit the ground running?
yeah, we actually had a group come. Actually, we have our council is very fortunate. We have 4 other camp properties that we operate, and some of them are actually very close. One of them is in the suburbs of Tulsa, called a city called Broken Arrow, and we have a camp right there, almost in the middle of town. And so groups are welcome to come up there, make a reservation, camp out there the night before, and then come out to ZBase and get there early and get started. Uh, and then we have another one. It's over called Locust Grove, and a little town, and they're welcome to stay there as well. And then, of course, there's just a lot of other state parks and other accommodations that people are welcome to search out and do, but they can also make arrangements through us as a council.
So if they want to make those kind of arrangements, they could contact your council office, or is that something they could do through ZBase?
Yep, they could right through ZBase, and then we'll just get them arranged. We'll help
Awesome.
make those arrangements, make those reservations alongside with them.
Good deal. Good deal. We all know the major high adventure bases around the country, and they offer some awesome programs. Have you been searching for a cool alternative from your typical high adventure trip? As a scout leader, I want to give our scouts some great alternatives. You need to check out highadventurescouting.com. You'll find information on over 30 different council high adventure bases in 24 states. Maybe you're looking for a do-it-yourself option and need some ideas. Maybe you've taken a great trip and you want to share your good fortune with your fellow scouts and scouters. Just send us the details and we'll publish your trip. Whatever your interest, highadventurescouting.com is the one-stop shop for all things high adventure. That's highadventurescouting.com. So you did have some rain this year. Was it hot later in June into July, or I mean, I'm talking Oklahoma, so I should know this stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, like I said, summertime's is warm everywhere. It's just kind of part of life, but it's just kind of the way it goes. But uh, we just try to dispel the myth of when people think of Oklahoma, they think hot, dry, prairie, desert, no trees. And at ZBASE, we have kind of the opposite. I mean, it does get warm, but that's kind of the fun of it too, because we got a big lake, 10,000 acre lake we play on. We have trees and hills and forest and streams, and so we try to get people out there and dispel that myth that we're not in the middle of the prairie. We actually have a really cool property. And I was talking to somebody else just yesterday, and they asked how big ZBASE was, and we operate off 35,000 acres. And as far as I could tell, as far as a scout-owned property, I think we're probably the second largest scout-owned property out there, besides beyond Philmont. The summit, bigger than the summit, and so we have a large piece of property, and we do lots of just a really array of different areas you can go to, like say trees, hills, forest. There are some open prairies, so it's a really unique place, but definitely not in the middle of nowhere. But and it's only, like I said, 35 minutes away from downtown Tulsa, so it's not like it's hard to get to either. So
exactly, and Tulsa's pretty easy to get to, no matter where you're coming from. So now you've had a couple seasons under your belt, and with different programs, all the construction's pretty much done. What has been the most popular option for trekkers coming to ZBASE as far as one of the activities?
Well, our first year, not everything was 100% done. So, we kind of started like everybody were like our adventure tower is always very popular. When you're up 70 feet in the air, and you have a 360 view it's on a peninsula of the lake, so you can have a 360 view and you can see the top of downtown Tulsa from the top of it. So that's a really unique place to go. And I kind of started off that way. Then as we added more adventure areas, like last year, we added our jet ski program, and that's very popular because it's just very unique. It's not something you get to go do every day, and it's always fun to ride around on a jet ski. And then this year, probably the most popular one was our cable wake park, and it's because it is super unique, and learning how to wakeboard on a system with no boat and just a pulley system. And it's just something that almost have to experience to explain it, but that was probably the most popular one this year, was to do that. So.
Yeah, in all my research of all the high adventure bases every year, I don't think I've seen any that have that option. Now I've seen it in other areas before, non-scout things, but that's a pretty cool option to have that on your docket that boys can do, and leaders, I guess. So that's half the
Yeah.
reason why I go on these trips, is because I want an excuse to do these cool things, and you say, yeah, I'm doing scout stuff.
Yeah, we've gotten asked, what do 18-year-olds get classified as? Are they adult or are they youth? And we kind of go on the Philmont rule that they
Okay.
can still be considered youth, but in the end, the adults get to do the same exact program as the youth do. So it doesn't really matter. We want everybody to have a good time. We're not even opposed to doing an all adult treks either. So that's not something we're opposed to. Come out and have some fun.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'll bring that up to my our leaders in our troop. That sounds like a cool leader activity
Yeah.
without the boys occasionally. So that's great. So, well, anything else that you have coming up that we haven't talked about that is going to make 2022 the best year for you guys?
Like I said, we really encourage. Actually, we got something going on today. I'm heading back out to ZBASE. We do these weekend adventures, and again, with you're in a day's drive, it's really to have a long weekend to come out. So this weekend we're doing swimming and life saving merit badge weekend, and last weekend we did a canoe kayaking merit badge weekend. So those are really fun to come out for a weekend and get some advancement, but also just do it in a unique way with some of the amenities that we have at ZBase. Everything's really nice with our pool complex, and then we're right there on the lake. Our base camp is right there on the lake, so we get to do that. September, we got fish camp coming up. That's where you earn all 3 fishing merit badges all in one weekend. And then if you do that in scouting, you get the complete angler awards. You get that as well, all in one weekend. And then concurrently, we run with that is called the Certified Angler Instructor Training. It's where adults get to come and learn how to teach kids how to fish. And so it's a great weekend because you come and you fish, you talk about fishing, learn fly fishing, how to tie flies, then you go fishing, and you talk about fishing, and that's what you do for a whole weekend. So it's pretty nice. Um, and we have a hiking backpacking merit badge weekend coming up in October, and then we do a climbing merit badge weekend in November. And like I said, then 2022 is going to be an expansion of spring break. We're looking at doing an OA trail crew type of week during spring break, and then expanding some of our high adventure treks into the fall as well. Here in Oklahoma, we have a fall break, so we capitalize on that, trying to get people out on a long weekend in October and do some adventures.
Awesome. So I would say I'm just guessing most of these activities are out on your website. Um,
Yeah,
coming
we
up.
do. We're like I said, we're all these the 2022 stuff. We're gearing up, updating our website on those, and those will be up here pretty soon. But yeah, everything's on zbase.camp, and then we have a link on there under it says Scouting Adventures. Because the other thing we do at ZBase is we actually rent out some of our stuff for corporate rentals, like our sporting clays and stuff like that. So if there's anybody out there that has people that want to come and do something unique with their business or church group or something like that, that's also an option. So,
Awesome. Well, some of the pictures I've seen from our guys, it's a top notch facility, and really kind of did it right from the ground up. So, which is different than most scout properties. Most that I've been to are older and have been around a long time. This one was a little different in the way it was developed from what I looked. So
yeah, well, like I said, it's nice being new. That's always something neat, but we just tried to make it unique. Like you said, there's kind of a cookie cutter design with a lot of our uh, camps and properties, and we just tried to take take that concept because it's not bad. We just tried to do it in a unique way. That's all.
awesome, awesome. Well, Scott, I want to thank you for joining us again today and give us an update of what ZBase is going into 2022 and the exciting stuff that's coming up in the next year.
Yeah, always appreciate it. I enjoy talking with you, catching up with you, and all your stuff that you're doing. And I appreciate what you're doing here. Like I said, there's just a lot of really neat stuff out there that people don't normally know about. So this is a great way to get the word out. What we're doing here at ZBase and all the other high adventure bases out there across the country. So
Exactly, exactly, and that's that's my main focus is getting more scouts out doing high adventure, and not just Boy Scouts. Any youth organization that is out there that that's how you keep the older boys and girls now, but that's how you keep the older youth to be involved and provide that leadership to your group. So that's kind of my focus. So,
yeah, that's
well, exactly. Well, I want to thank Scott Thiessen, director at the Zink High Adventure Base, better known as ZBASE, near Tulsa, Oklahoma, for joining me today. Now, you can get more information on their programs at zbase.camp. That's zbase.camp. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to tell your friends about this podcast. You can find us online at highadventurescouting.com, on Facebook or Instagram. If you have any questions or ideas for future podcasts, just email us at info@highadventurescouting.com. This podcast and website are independent and not affiliated with any youth organization. Happy high adventure! This has been a production of High Adventure Resources.